Thank you for tuning in to our Caribbean program of raising awareness within our communities around New York and the rest of the world. Hello, my name is Diane Madre. I'm your host. Today's segment will focus on an amazing event that is about to transform the effects of violence against women, girls, and young children, and for us united on a global platform to begin to look at how justice will play a part in the change process. The visionary behind this movement of V-Day and 1 Billion Rising, my other sister, ENSLER, activist and author of the famous VAGINA monologues, which has allowed women globally to open up about their pain from abuse in a way no one has ever imagined. For example, if you can remember the thought of dance like nobody's watching. Well, Eve lifted and shifted this platform globally, where many joined in 2013 to release and dance exactly like nobody's watching, raising the awareness of violence against our women, girls, and children. I was so captivated and moved by what I saw that I too wanted to be a part of this global experience that shocked the nation and the world. It felt like a revolution had just started among our women. I wanted more people to know what was happening, so after attending some of Eve's events here in New York City, I wanted to see the Caribbean region raise awareness to stronger heights in 2014. I wanted to see more communities counted in this movement. I was then asked to be a part of the team and cover the Caribbean region as the Caribbean Global Coordinator. I feel blessed. As a united front, I am meeting some amazing, passionate, and strong women along the journey. In this platform scheduled to launch around the world, titled 1 Billion Rising for Justice, it will begin to showcase women, men, girls, and children from every part of the world. For example, India is rising in such an enormous way that it's helping women to come forward since the gang rape incidents that have been highlighted. Now let's take a look at the clip from the 1 Billion Rising footage.
Well, it is Valentine's Day like no other.
To mark Valentine's Day, the 1 Billion Rising
1 Billion Rising campaign.
Dünya çapında 1 milyar kadın kadına şiddete
1 billion women.
Every 2 minutes, somewhere in the United States, someone is sexually assaulted.
Well, 1 Billion Rising is a movement which calls for an end to violence and gender inequality. The global campaign, dubbed 8 Billion Rising.
Somali women in Mogadishu have joined the world in
Fact, in every village you will see scenes like these.
Then Atlas Road'lo 1 Billion Rising Jarugtoni.
Birazdan burada kentteki ikinci eylem dansını
1 Billion Rising campaign all in full swing across the world.
Everybody should be here. This is a call for 1 Billion Rising.
Filipinos in London and around the world are part of a campaign against violence towards women.
Jago re jago. India jago.
Azadi. From all hierarchy. Azadi. From exploitation. Azadi. From sexploitation. Azadi. From monoculture. Azadi. From media vulture. Azadi. For singing loudly. Azadi. For dancing madly. Azadi. For self-expression. Azadi. For celebration. Azadi. We love it madly. Azadi. We want it badly. Azadi. Come say it loudly.
Here's what's happening in New York after you've just had a look at that footage. That's from the 1 Billion Rising footage from 2013, elevating and raising awareness for justice. Now in New York, one of the programs for 2014 on Valentine's Day is going to be called Just Love. Release, Embody Love on February 14. It's about justice taking many different forms. Part of this program is going to capture awareness in terms of raising awareness through the justice system, and there are many speakers that are going to take place. This is happening from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Grand Ballroom at the Manhattan Center at 311 West 34th Street, New York City. If you're looking to get tickets, try to get them before at 1billionrising.org, or send an email to justlove@vday.org. Again, that's justlove@vday.org. Now, during the day program, they're going to have therapists and counselors available, so if anyone is going through any triggers during an event like that, which can occur, that will be supported. Now, as we move ahead into the 1 Billion Rising, I'm so amazed at part of this journey has taken so many different turns and meeting so many different persons. And in the journey, I came across a young woman whose words were inspiring during the time of the New York City Mayor de Blasio's inauguration that many of you may have seen through the news media, on television, and on YouTube. And it came across my way as well, and I was captivated by her presence. And for our viewers here today, she's none other than Ramya. I hope I'm saying that correct. She's New York City Youth Poet Laureate at Urban Word, New York City. She's also a student that attends St. John's University. Her words have been so captivating that people are reaching out to her for spoken words pieces. So if you were able to capture the New York City piece for the mayor's office, it was an amazing piece. But Ramya, welcome to ITV, and thank you for joining us and supporting the 1 Billion Rising.
Thank you.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that experience you did through the Mayor de Blasio's inauguration?
Yeah, well, it was both very humbling and honoring to be there and speak in front of thousands of New Yorkers. I think I was also very nervous because I'm an introverted person, but, you know, when I'm there, I had to speak. But when I was up there, I connected with the people the most, I felt. And so I think that experience was really convicting and very sobering.
Now, there's another piece that you shared with me that I thought it was fitting today. And one of the things that I want to share with our viewers also is that on one of the events that we're going to be having in New York, Ramya is going to be performing among many other women, including ENSLER. And that's going to be held on Friday, February 14. The doors are going to be open at 7:30. The program starts at 8. Ramya is creating a very special piece that is going to be fitting for 1 Billion Rising. Now, Ramya, we talked about like some of the work that you've been doing, and one of the pieces that you shared with me was called A Letter to
My Future Daughter.
To your future daughter.
Yeah.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that? Because I thought it was interesting, and then you can share an excerpt from that.
So I wrote that poem, I think, about a year and a half ago, and when I wrote it, I was thinking of my future daughter and the things I've been through, and I would never want to see, you know, any other female, but especially, you know, the woman that, you know, if I do give birth to a woman, go through that. So I wrote a poem for her, and I remember one time before performing it, I was reciting it, and I just said it to myself in the room, and I just started crying because I was like, wow, like, this is so personal to me. And I was really afraid to share it, but when I was up there and after I did share it, I had a few women come up to me that started crying that had experiences. And so I think at that point I realized this is not just for my future daughter, but a lot of other women are hearing this, and, you know, we're all being affected the same way, so.
So can you share to our viewers just a bit of excerpt from that piece? And you can also catch that footage on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
The next time you find a woman with fractured umbilical cords wrapped around her soul, know that I love you. And I made these rules because I do. Rule number 1, never let the arched fingers of a man strangle around your neck like a Never let the arched fingers of a man strangle around like a cane behind your collarbone. If he does, use your legs as a boomerang to his pelvis, then call the cops. Rule number 2, pay attention to how his eyes treat your body, how the melanin of his lips carry rosary beads. Make sure it's not fractured. That is just fragments of torn luck. Rule number 3, be the only one in his life, no side chicks. Find the purity in his accent, the chaos in his I love you. Stretch out a timeline and show him. If he doesn't get scared and run away, he is a keeper. My daughter, smile.
Great.
Thank you.
I love that piece. You have to catch that piece on, Ramya performed that at the Apollo, right?
Yeah.
And you can catch that video on YouTube on its full entirety. And I'm so excited about the piece that you're going to create. I know I told you I don't want to discuss it, so we'll all be surprised that day. Now, tell me something, Ramya. You're from South India. Like, knowing that you're creating something that it seems as though you love, you know, the spoken words, creating poetry. How did you get into writing about poetry and creating in the way that you have?
Well, I don't think poetry was born to me, was something I chose. It was born out of necessity because of the environment I was in and the many contradictions of society that I just couldn't understand. And I needed poetry because to me it was my escape and my salvation. And so that's when I really started to get into poetry. But I think a lot of what inspired me, as well as other writers, but I wasn't really introduced to writers until recently. But I think when I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of Indian music. And a lot of Indian music is really poetic. And that influenced me tremendously because I was so in awe of how somebody I don't know can understand how I feel. So I think that had a lot to do with the influence of my work and where I'm from and where I am now.
The interesting thing, Ramya, about your written pieces, it's sort of like has a driving force behind activism. So as a young person, because you're 18, you're attending college and you have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you.
How do you, like, what would you tell other young people who are maybe want to channel in that direction of writing poetry that might create something for activism or for the future, for a career or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because I think today we live in a day where ageism exists, and I think youth dialogue is often overlooked. But I think that just because it's overlooked, that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be fought against. And what I find interesting is that, yes, I learned so much from my elders, but I feel as if I learned so much from people who have experienced the world less than people who have experienced the world more, because I feel like people who have experienced the world less don't understand boundaries and go beyond and have this need to do. And I find that I am so inspired by the young people around me, my peers, who are so powerful. And so I think that if more young people came together and did this, then nobody can stop us. You know, it's impossible. It's inevitable. So I guess my advice to the young people is, if you have a dream, it's in your heart for a reason. And if it's there, then it's possible. And if it's there, then, you know, it means you're supposed to pursue it.
You know, Ramya, for the short time I've known you, I've seen you're a very disciplined individual. And to see a young person your age in that frame of mind, I'm extremely impressed.
Thank you.
Now, what basically motivates you to sort of like structure yourself in that capacity? Because you have pretty much a full plate. You're on a full scholarship at St. John's University. You're part of the New York City Urban
Word NYC,
right.
yeah.
So how do you manage to capture all of that in a nutshell?
Well, I think first and foremost, I have to give all the credit to God, because I think God is my personal motivation, and I wouldn't be where I am. But I think sometimes people forget I am so flawed, and I am just the regular, everyday person. But I think if I can say why, how I guess I manage, I'm not sure if that was a question, or if how all of this came about. I believe that I think young people observe a lot, and we pay attention to the things around us. And oftentimes we don't put it in words, or when we do, we put it in words and we keep it to ourselves. And especially women. I think we become more silent than we do speak. And so I always, I love the quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And that's like my favorite quote ever. And that's by Gandhi. And so I try to live and exercise that quote as much as, I can human possible. So. Now,
Ramya, with what I've seen ahead of you, and we've talked about this, where do you see a future down the road with everything that's happening? And things are happening pretty quickly. You were at the mayor's inauguration, then recently you were at the Indian Council General that you performed.
Yeah. I would like to do community organizing, and I also want to grow a lot more in my art, and I do want to do full-time art as well. So I think that's where I see myself as of now, but let's see what the future holds.
Well, thank you, Ramya, for joining us here on ITV and to be a part of an amazing event that is going to take place on Friday, February 14th. So if anyone is interested, that's Friday, February 14th, at the Grand Ballroom, 311 West 34th Street. Now, as we're bringing close to this segment, we are rising with one love across the globe with the additions of the countries that I'm covering: Dominican Republic, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad, and St. Lucia. Caribbean is rising from Jamaica, and I want to show you a footage from this.
Educate girls, you change the world. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Empress Sativa representing for 1 billion rising for justice. Stop the violence against women and children. Best of luck.
Greetings, I'm Marcy Griffiths, and I'm supporting 1 billion rising for justice. Stop killing our women and children. Jamaica, rise! One love.
I am rising to end violence against woman and child. I lost my daughter in violence. I am supporting families who also lost a loved one through violence. I am standing for the 1 billion march against violence against woman and child. One love.
Educate the girls, change the world. One girl with courage is a revolution.
Billion!
Rising, please. Give
Rise
thanks.
to the occasion.
Alright, let's get together and feel alright.
Now join us at 1 Billion Rising and look for an event near you, or follow the website on www.1billionrising.org. Check out for the events from every country and see who is on the map. And if you don't find your country on the map or your community, please send us a note. And for all Caribbeans who are rising on 1 Billion Rising on February 14th, please inbox me, dianem@cadva.org. Let's raise this above what has happened last year. We said 1 billion. So for me, rising for justice, 1 billion rising means that We are no longer making women's issues a miscellaneous topic. So therefore, I'll see each of you at the New York event, and I'm looking forward to hear all about the Caribbean Rising for Justice.